Welcome to another edition of Acoustic Alternatives, the podcast normally done at Grove Studios in Ypsilanti, who've been very kind to encourage me to do this. It's a place that you can set up a band practice. DJs can practice there as well, and podcasts can be done there. And it's a great way to get away from your neighbors and not disturb them. Get out of the garage and get into the studio is what they like to say. But this time around, I'm doing something as a benefit for WHFR, which is a radio station that is a non-commercial entity in Dearborn that I happen to work at. I also happen to do a show there. And they are technically my sponsor for tonight's podcast, and it's a live recording with Jo Serrapere. Hello, Jo.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you very much for giving us your time and your talents to this benefit concert, which is a full concert later on for everybody else. But meanwhile, for you and I, it's a conversation that includes you playing a few songs. I'm hoping that everybody in the room knows who you are off the top of your head. But, yeah. But one of the many reasons I do a podcast is I have local music and music from the national music scene that I want to expose everybody to, the world. It's on the World Wide Web, on video and on audio. And I like to choose people that I believe in, and this makes good sense to me to have you on the show.
Well, it's hometown.
Right.
I'm born and raised in Dearborn, where WHFR is. My mother, who's sitting in the front row, she went to Henry Ford Community College.
Hi, Mom.
When I was, I remembered being a little girl and dropping her off. I was in the car and we dropped her off to go to class.
Very nice. Well, before I get into digging into when she knew you as about this big and maybe this big, why don't you start with a song? I'll get out of the way if it's going to be one of the ones that has one of your guests. You tell me.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, no, I'm going to start.
Solo.
I'll let, they're back there, they're getting drunk and, musicians, whatever.
They're playing music on their phones way too loud.
Okay. Well, I figure since I'm going to bring my band, the La Fondas, I'm going to bring them out for the second half. And pretty much what we mostly play is just really fun, lighthearted kind of stuff. So I thought I would play some depressing things.
Perfect. That's what I expect.
I don't get a chance to do that very often. All right. So. All right. Well, this is a song I wrote. It's a really fun tune. It's about drunkenness and despair. All right. Stardust and bromide, dream you by my side forevermore. Dance upon ether, troubled by neither the mundane nor the horror. You won't deceive me, never knew what I can't know. Dreams never leave me, held in the light of the late show. You were a sailor, taking your leave of the sea. I was a dancer, luring my sailor to me. Each promise, like spirits, goes to a young girl's head. Dreams like confetti, falling in fountains of red. Loneliness settles, slowly becomes like a friend. Violence, it lingers, the only thing that doesn't end. So still in this slumber, only a secret away, a sweet preparation. Slowly I'm sailing away, away, away.
Now I'm sad, but in a good way.
Well, you know, my absolute songwriting hero is Tom Waits.
I know.
So, you know, it's
in you.
it's in me, yeah. So
Jo Serrapere is my guest on Acoustic Alternatives, the podcast, and I'm imagining like my house. There was probably always music on at your house. What is your earliest memory of music on in the house?
well, actually, my parents were really, you know, I should probably not say how old I am, but I'm old. I was born in the 60s. So,
Me too.
late 60s, but
Me too.
60s. So my parents, one of my earliest memories is seeing Beatles records on the floor, like crawling around and seeing like the Beatles, and they always had Simon and Garfunkel, Cat Stevens, and the Beatles. That was like, that's what my memory. That's some of my earliest memories of childhood.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, memories of like driving in the car with mom, an 8-track of Simon & Garfunkel's Greatest Hits is like ingrained in my brain. But yeah, for sure. Very influential, I'm sure, on who you became, because those are some great songwriters right there.
Yeah. So.
When did it hit you? Was it a teenage you that said, music? Wow.
No, I was well, you know, because I was a kid of the 80s. So I was one of those kids that I grew up and instead of becoming a musician, I like dated musicians.
Oh, by proxy then.
Yeah. So it was like, you know, because that's what girls did, you know. So and then I would like secretly hate them for doing what I wanted to do. So I decided after getting a whole lot of therapy that maybe I should, you know, it'd be better for my relationships if I actually became a musician.
So if I talked to your high school friends, they would have said, no, I never would have imagined Jo would have been a musician.
No, I was really shy. I was one of those kids that I'd cry if I got a B. I had to get A's. I was really shy. I didn't, you know, I was a very shy, quiet kid until I got out of high school.
Well, you obviously at some point discovered your own musical taste away from the Beatles and the Simon & Garfunkel and Cat Stevens, and that was probably
Yes.
teenage you.
Yeah. Well, I went through many, many stages, but in like early junior high, I was definitely a metalhead. I think I saw Ozzy Osbourne like 10 times or something. I was like, loved that.
Backstage, we were discussing Foreigner and Billy Squire.
Yes.
Sorry, I outed you on that.
Well, there's backstage. When I played here with my band, Stella, a number of years ago. There's graffiti in the back that says Foreigner 1981 or something like that, and I went to that show, and then the rest of the band, you know, looked at me. I think Laura Bates looked at me and said, "I was a toddler," and then Jen Siggett said, "I was in diapers." And then, you know, our fiddle player, she went, "I wasn't born for another 10 years."
These things happen when you hang out with younger people. So I gather from some of the darkness in your songs that you might have also been a goth kid.
I was totally a goth kid.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
How does a rock goth kid become a roots artist? Where's the path?
Good question.
Where does it?
Well, I don't know. I always went through stages of music. I mean, you know, because, you know, I was raised on Simon and Garfunkel, and I think it was because when I was in high school and college, I got much more involved in the LGBTQ community, and so like the Indigo Girls and Melissa Etheridge, you know, all these, you know, they were like our role models. So I think that kind of, but actually I think it goes deeper, because I do remember the first time I heard REM which, I mean, they're roots rock, but
Yeah.
you definitely can hear the twang.
Oh, yeah.
You
From
know.
Georgia. I mean, how can you not?
Right. I mean, they were playing with like Culture Club, so it was pretty clear. But, but I loved it. It was just the harmonies. When I heard the harmonies, it felt like home. And then I found out that, my grandfather's from Appalachia, so I think it's genetic. There's just something in there.
You've mentioned Simon & Garfunkel and Indigo Girls, and to me, there was a parallel in my life because the gateway drug for me to modern folk was Indigo Girls.
Yes.
It was Land of Canaan, actually, not necessarily Closer to Find, but
Oh,
it was
okay.
something that made me, like that harmony was so similar to what I remember hearing as a kid.
Yeah.
And it was like,
exactly.
ooh, what is this? And
What
it
is
opened up this new world in me. So I just kind of wondered how you got from Sisters of Mercy to, to wherever you started in the rootsy rock stuff.
Even when I was a little goth kid, I loved Patsy Cline. Like, I'd be with my black hair and eyeliner and, in my mohawk or whatever. And I'd get my heart broken. I'd be like, I know he did you wrong. Did me wrong too. So I wanted to start a goth band that played Patsy Cline covers, but it kind of never happened.
So did you see the Bauhaus reunion show? Is that exciting to you at this point in your life? Like all four of them?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw the Wayne Kramer
Yeah, we talked
show
about that.
coming out, the MC 50, I think.
Or whatever it is. Yeah. So your first
No.
it's at Masonic, not Masonic.
So all the
four of
guys
them.
oh wow.
I know.
I was a huge Tones on Tail fan
Yeah.
and Lovin' Rockets and
Yeah.
Bauhaus.
More so than Bauhaus for me as well, but
Yeah.
still the parts. But I still don't know how even I was working in a record store, and so I was being exposed to a whole bunch of music, and so that to me that was how I discovered other kinds of music. And for you, somebody opened that door somewhere along the line and said, "Check this out."
Well, I don't know. No, I've always had my ear to music, things that were going on at the time, So, and then like I said, I dated musicians, so.
I know you play guitar. I also have seen you play drums, at least in photos.
In theory.
Are there other instruments that you play?
No.
No.
No, I mean I play drums, but I don't. I'm like a three. Oh, I do. Yes, Bob said I do. I do play a mean washboard. Yes.
Oh yeah, I've seen
But-
that picture too.
No, but I mean I'm like a 3-trick pony on the drums. So, you need a good like stirring the jazzy, stirring the soup. I got it. I'm solid, but.
Do you want to play a song on the guitar, or would you like to go to the drum kit? No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
no.
Guitar. What would you like to do
Do I
next?
mean to play one? Okay, well, I'll play a song that was inspired. I mean, actually, one of the things that also got me into roots music, aside from the Indigo Girls and all those folks, was I took lessons from Sherry Kane. You all know Sherry Kane, right? She's a legend. Sherry, her focus was Delta blues, and I loved like John Lee Hooker. John Lee Hooker was like my one of my blues idols. Not that he was Delta blues, he wasn't, but it was. I just loved that. So I started listening to a lot of old blues and jazz and stuff from there. But this is a song that I wrote. I did Lamb's Retreat, which is a songwriter workshop up in the top of the Mitten. And I was on staff there, and John Lamb, who runs it, he told me what my workshop was going to be on, And he's like, I want you to do a workshop on blues Detroit style. And I went, okay. So I did I talked a lot about John Lee Hooker because, he's our guy, And then I wrote this song this weekend because they made us, part of it is you have to write a song. And one of the things I loved about John Lee Hooker is he was like the beat poet of blues. Like he would just stay on the one. He wouldn't even change, he wouldn't change chords. He'd just stay on the one and do a whole song, like Boogie Chillin', And so I said, I'm going to do that too. So this is a song inspired by John Lee Hooker, but it's definitely mine. So, ready? wash you clean. Do it all by hand. Wash away the sins left by a man, left by his ways, left by his tools, left by his laws, left by his rules. I too had a secret, a dirty shame, dared not to think it or speak its name. I took the burden and all the blame. I begged for mercy, it never came, till I washed it clean, did it all by hand. Washed away the sins left by a man, left by his ways, left by his schools, left by his church, left by his rules. When you're broken, keep falling down. We'll plant your dirty deep in the ground. We'll tend the soil until you're sound. You'll rise up blazing, was lost now found. Dug up not pretty, dug up not pure. You share your dirty, we'll share the cure. You tell your story, but only when you're sure. We'll hold it sacred, safe and secure. And we'll wash it clean, do it all by hand. Wash away the sins left by the man, left by his weakness, left by his hell. We'll save our dear ones, save him as well. We'll save our dear ones, save him as well. Save him as well. Save him as well. As well.
This time around on Acoustic Alternatives, my guest is Jo Serrapere, and this is being recorded at a benefit concert for WHFR, a radio station in Dearborn that I will admit I work at. I should admit that to the audience who might not know that I do that. It is a benefit that makes a lot of sense to have Jo play because the radio station itself is as diverse as you are. If somebody had all of your CDs...
And I'm from the D.
And you're from the
little D.
D, Dearborn. But
the little 313.
If we went through your catalog, we would see Americana, we'd see roots, we'd see blues. There's a little bit of jazz in there. There's some honky tonk. I mean, really, there's no category for you.
I like everything. I was once told by somebody higher up in the biz, said you ought to hone your stuff down, keep it to one thing. And he says once you get famous, then you can play whatever you want.
Is that Dave Marsh by chance?
No, it wasn't Dave. It was. It was...
you don't have to tell me if you don't want to.
Well, it was...
Somebody else. Some other dude.
But I was like, but that's I got to wait till I get famous. Will I even get famous? Right? And I'd be so bored. So, that's just not how my process works. I love all kinds of music.
Good for you.
So
good for you for sticking to what you believe in. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, at some point you started performing in front of people, not just at home.
I did.
Was it a solo project or a band project?
Solo. I was in grad school.
Okay.
So I'm a psychologist. So I became a psychologist and a musician at exactly the same time. So I for my last semester in graduate school, I went to kind of an alternative psych school. It was called the Detroit Center for Humanistic Studies. It's now called the Michigan School of Professional Psychology, which I think is much more boring. But when I went there, it was in the city, and it was Center for Humanistic Studies. And one of my last classes was this class on transitions. And it was about, what they told us is you had to do something, and then you had to, at the end, write a paper, something very, that would transition you into something. And then I had to write in the paper, if I did it, and if I didn't do it, I had to write why I didn't do it. So the night before, and I said, I'm like, I'm gonna play a song that I wrote in front of the class. Okay. And then like the night before, I just sweating bullets. I'm like, oh man, I can't do this. And then I opened up this book, and it talked about, it was just exactly what I needed to hear. And it talked about the importance of failure, and how failure isn't failure. It's just it just gives you feedback on the next step. So you just have to find the courage and do it. Or I don't know. It touched me in such a way that I said, okay, screw it. So I went in there and I played, and it was like I felt better then than I think than being on Prairie Home Companion or any of the other stuff we did. That was when I felt the highest. I was so excited for facing that, and so then for our graduation, I said I'd sing in front of the auditorium, and I did, and then you couldn't stop me. I was obnoxious.
Music was your therapy, for sure.
Yes, it was.
Well, your first CD, which there are plenty of copies here at the show at the Trinity House, in case anybody in the room wants.
Yes, and if you buy a CD, to use as a poster, you can get the first one for free because they're cluttering up my basement. I got way too many.
Well, that one came out in 1998, a year that I looked at the just to see what was happening in '98 because I can't remember. The pop charts were dominated by mostly R&B, poppy country, things like Shania Twain.
Oh, yes.
But however, there was a couple of other things that might have had some influence on what was going on. Paula Cole and Sarah McLachlan had pretty big hits that year, and Lilith Fair debuted the year before.
Yes, I applied for Lilith Fair.
Really?
I didn't make it, but I applied.
So was this, did that empowerment of women music have anything to do with you following music as a career?
Well, I mean, it definitely made it an option. I think, one of my, I love garage rock bands and stuff. So, one of my favorite bands is like the Runaways, And when they came around in the 70s, people booed them and threw stuff at them, and and girls didn't play guitar and they didn't sing rock music or whatever. So I think when I started playing, there was a lot more just opening for that.
Okay. The doors had been open already.
The doors were already open, but that was kind of the beginning.
Well, 4 years later, 2002, a pretty big year for you. Live at Johnny's Speakeasy was released, as well as the debut album from Uncle Earl. Both out of print.
Yes.
One of them I'm seeing on resale shops for hundreds of dollars. The Uncle Earl debut album is out there for tons of money.
Well, that's I have one regret in my life. Just one. That's it. So Uncle Earl, which was a band that my friend Casey Groves and I started together. We in Ann Arbor, we were just we liked doing harmonies, country harmonies, so we just started doing that. And we started the band, and then we started getting some, attention, but I ended up kind of turning into just sort of the tambourine player or something. I wanted to write songs. I didn't want to play old time music. So I quit the band, so they could go off and whatever. And then the following year, they recorded with John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. My only regret, because I was the Zepp head in that band. I don't even know if they knew who Led Zeppelin was.
They learned.
They learned, yes. But I was like, what?
Did you drop out because you didn't want to do a lot of touring? Was there...
Yeah, and I just didn't, I just felt kind of useless, in some ways, because I wasn't a picker, and they were, they were getting better and better players, and, And I was just like, I'm just kind of singing on the sidelines here, and I'd rather be writing songs.
Did you ever do a great deal of touring outside of the Michigan music scene?
We toured
Yourself?
Oh,
or
me.
any of it, right? Any point in your career, I guess.
Well, Uncle Earl, we did a tour in Colorado, and I learned what it's like to sing in the mountains. That's brutal.
Breathtaking.
I would pass out on stage. It was horrible. And then when I was playing with my partner John, we would tour I remember one day. I think we had one day or about 24 hour. No. It was 48 hours. We played in Boston, and then we played in Austin. So we had to get there in 24 hours, and we did. We got there in 24 hours. So
that's a lot of driving.
Yeah, it was.
A little crazy. Speaking of John, you have two friends that are joining you during our podcast for your songs. Yes. I don't know which is first, though.
Well, we can have Johnny come. Is Johnny out there?
Johnny, paying attention back there?
Could somebody get him? He's
He's coming. The answer is he's coming, which means I'm going to step away, talk about the song.
All right. Hi, Johnny. Hi. This is John Devine, everyone.
I got unplugged here when I just got unmiked here.
Oh, what do you need?
What's that?
What do you need, hon?
I just need to plug in my board here.
Oh, okay. So, Johnny is my baby daddy. You'll notice my daughter Stella. I have a band and a daughter named Stella. My daughter Stella did not want to come tonight because she's like, she loves to be home alone. She's like, I am so tired. I am your music. Oh my God.
She liked coming to our gig when she was 5.
So I'm going to play a song. Like I said, the next set is just going to all be upbeat, fun stuff. So I thought I would play some more depressing stuff because I don't get a chance to do that very often. So this is a song. Let's see, how should I introduce this? I know somebody once asked Mother Teresa what she thought the biggest problem in America was. You know, thinking that she's going to say, like, you know, hatred, violence, whatever, greed. And she said loneliness. And I thought a lot about that, and I think that's true. I think loneliness is a kind of pivotal. We don't feel connected to each other. And that's kind of the cause for a lot of problems. So this is a song called Loneliness. Ready? If you don't see me, I'm not there. How can I trust the world to care? The source from whence it came was never you, but the wounding left behind is all I knew. It returns and I'm closing down. I say my piece, but I'm not around. Loneliness, loneliness. Just look at me and I'll confess my loneliness. Shine pulls around me, sleep tonight. I'll be less afraid beneath the light. You only hear your voice and not my cries. So I'll settle for the glow from my own eyes. It returns, no one sees me here. Can't find a way from underneath the fear. Loneliness, loneliness. Just look at me and I'll confess my loneliness. Turn around and not burden you. to my own. Yes, that's certain too. I'll let you in when your heart burns true, and trust in spite of world not shining through. Forgive me if the darkness wins this round. A light within the mind is rarely found, but a heart so broken open just might find a never-ending fire left behind. It returns. Promise me that it's not the end. Loneliness, loneliness. Just look at me and I'll confess my loneliness. Loneliness, my loneliness. Just look at me and I'll confess my loneliness. Johnny, John Devine. I love him.
Good. One John for another.
You're both extremely handsome. So.
No, the man in the hat's better. All right, where was I?
I don't
Collaborations, actually, was what I was going to talk about next, which you just did one with
I did one.
John.
Mm-hmm.
But Stella is a collaborative project you've worked on.
Mm-hmm.
You've worked with, at some point, as a Stuart Frankie collaboration.
I did. Well,
Uncle Earl obviously qualifies as collaboration.
yeah. I started that one.
What am I missing?
Let me think. Oh, I was in an a cappella group called Lorelei.
Oh.
And we sang at the Super Bowl when the Super Bowl was in 2006. Or no,
Really?
When was the Super Bowl? My daughter was born. Yeah, 2006, because she was born at the end of the year. So, but we sang at the gates. We weren't like the mid, We
Yeah.
were.
You weren't on the field.
Yeah, I like to say it was a whole bunch of like old, like smaller level Motown bands, and then like the four of us four white girls. It was sort of like affirmative action for soul singers. We were like, so we did a lot of Supremes, and it was cool.
Are there people in the local music scene or even the national music scene that you've thought about wanting to work with that you just haven't gotten around to working with yet?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
You haven't thought about it.
Well, I'm sure I have.
Just not today.
Yeah, I mean, I was always I was like a huge fan of Jack White before he got huge. I always liked him, and then he blew up, and I was like, okay, well, that's not
He probably won't work with you at this point, but you never know. He's in town tomorrow singing the national anthem at the opening day. So.
Oh, he is. Well, my friend Dominic
I know
Davis,
Dominic.
he's his bass player. They went to high school together, so I'm like a degree or two.
Yeah, I guess I am too. I worked with his first cousin, and yes, I know Dominic pretty well as well.
So yeah, I always loved him. I love the White Stripes, and I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people, and I've worked with a lot of people. Like I've worked with Jill Jack, and I've like a lot of the folks. Chris Buhalis, I think I did my first art show with him.
Yeah.
So
how about future recording projects based on your musical taste? It seems like a Tom Waits covers album should be in there somewhere. You've done Chocolate Jesus with Stella.
I have, yes, yeah. I was thinking of being just a Tom Waits cover band, or that and a T-Rex cover band.
What would you call it?
Meat Clown.
Meat Clown.
I don't.
Isn't that taken already?
Is it? Is it taken?
Let's look it up.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm wearing a meat clown pin because it just so happens my friend Barb, she came by and I did a post about meat clowns, and she made me a pin and just gave it to me tonight. And I'm like, we have merch. We're all ready for the meat clown world tour.
Well, while you're working on the Tom Waits covers album in your head, basically your life is a juggling act. Mother, wife, singer, songwriter, therapist.
And I'm rehabbing a house in Detroit, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
How do you find time to even think about writing songs? Are you?
You know what? Well, sometimes. Well, no. Right now I'm recording, so I have like 100 unrecorded songs. So
100?
Probably. But I'm gonna put out. I'm right now recording a record. It's gonna be sort of a double record. Although I don't, people don't buy one CD. I don't know if they'll buy two. So maybe it'll just be two different records. But I'm recording with Dave Roof,
Nice. Rooftop
Recordings in Grand Blanc. Yeah, I won't go anywhere else. Dave's the man.
Cool.
But I'm doing it. It's kind of, it's like we're doing the LaFondas, which is a lot of, kind of Western swingy kind of stuff, but this is more my songwriter stuff. It's a lot more kind of Beatles influenced. So that's what I'm working on now. So I don't want to write more because then
you got enough.
I'll need. I already feel overwhelmed.
Is there a timeline on your new projects? Projects, plural?
No, that's the nice thing about being old and not caring anymore.
And not being on a label. No pressure from your record label.
No, nothing. I'm like, it'll get done when it gets done.
As a therapist, do you ever take, without using their names, inspiration from your patients?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I never
Subconsciously?
do like a direct, like, oh, this is a thing and I'm going to do, but
I guess they probably would hear it eventually, wouldn't they?
probably, yeah. No, I don't. But I mean, just the whole, well, like the song I just did, Wash It Clean, it's kind of, I mean, it's essentially what I feel like I do as a therapist,
Good point.
So it all works together, and I like it because it's like I think I only went on a longer tour. For me, a long tour was like a month, and I think I only did that once. And by the end of it, I was so sick of myself. I was because music is it's so egos. It's like, look at me, I like my songs. And so by the end of the month, I just was so tired of that. I don't have the strongest ego in the world, so I was like, I felt terrible. So I like the balance. I like being in that position to do more service because that makes me feel sane.
Did you choose therapy as a career and then follow music as a passion, or did you hope to make music your career and then therapy was, if I don't make money doing music, I'll still have this?
That.
Second one?
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty smart move because it is really hard to make it in the music industry.
Nowadays, it's almost ridiculous. And now I'm kind of like, what it would take to do that is I'm tired. I don't want to do that. Live in your van, make no money, which was fun if you're 20.
Yeah.
But,
Did you choose therapy because you yourself sought it as a younger person and you thought, I want to help people just like somebody helped me?
Kind of. But my mom is a retired therapist, so I'm the child of a therapist. Plus, I was crazy, and I, needed to figure things out. I think a lot of people go into therapy originally. I mean, because who would do it, right? We're like the lowest paid white collar. I mean, it's like being a priest,
That actually
you don't make a lot of money, and it's a lot of work, and it's like being a doctor but getting, paid like a waitress. But so I think a lot of people go into it trying to figure themselves out and and I had a lot to figure out when I was younger. So
I've noticed there are lots of songs with Jesus references in your catalog.
yeah.
I mean, you're not a religious artist
No.
I would not put your CDs in the religious section of a record store.
No, well, I'm very spiritual, but I was I was raised, I'm like Catholic once removed.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it, Plus, Johnny, my partner, he was in the seminary when he was younger, so he was also a recovering person. I was never a Catholic. My parents we were like Unitarian. We ate tofu and stuff. We were hippies. But like I said, I got none of the doctrine and all the guilt. So
Nicely done.
yeah. So it's just that our culture is so affected by religion, and I'm a huge fan of Jesus, the guy, at least the way I understand him.
Yeah.
But I'm not a huge fan of a lot of.
Organized religion?
Yes.
I said it for you.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I was mentioning the Indigo Girls being my gateway drug into modern folk. The gateway drug into your music was actually Jesus in a Snowball, because it just caught my attention. Like, this is a great song. I love the harmonies, and it's a fun story.
We offended, we were told we offended 5 million people
It's
on Prairie
a
Home
snow
Companion.
globe.
I would say.
It's a snow globe. Listen to the words. Not that hard.
Well, that was a collaboration with Johnny, because Johnny is a very funny, he's one of those kind of writers that throws stuff out, and I'm the one who catches him, because he's very funny, but he doesn't write it down. So.
Well, your musical taste is all over the place, and I was thinking of asking a strange question.
Go ahead.
Pearl Bailey or Pearl Jam?
Oh, Pearl Bailey.
Yeah, because your tastes lean. You're an old soul.
Yeah,
but you like
the
rock.
vocals. I do, and I like Pearl Jam, but I think I was kind of moving away. I was getting more into roots music by the time Pearl Jam
Fair enough.
came along, but I like them too.
All right. We're going to take questions from people in the audience after your fourth song.
Oh, okay.
So this is a time to bring out your other guest.
Okay, well, I'm going to bring out my dear, dear friend Michelle Held. Does somebody want to go? Oh, there she is. Hi, Michelle. Everyone, this is Michelle. If you're not aware of Michelle is she's like a captivating performer. She's got this voice, and it's so I mean, obviously she's going to sing backup with me, so you're not going to really get a taste, but she's very talented. If you haven't seen Michelle, go see her, because she's kind of like the Joni Mitchell of Detroit, I think.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do a song called Life and All. Mike Ward back there is clapping.
It was Angie. Oh, it was Angie.
I love within the loneliness of doubt and fear, and I love around the pettiness that we often mirror. And I love beyond one's justice of a right and wrong. And I love between a hymn and a victory song. I love in spite the promises put upon the shelf. And I love the deep forgiveness that I give unto myself. I even love your hurtful words, though in truth I can't recall, 'cause it's all so deeply beautiful, life and all. One can't resist the ecstasy. We all are sure to fall, 'cause it's all so deeply beautiful, life and all. It's all so beautiful. It's all so beautiful. It's all so deeply beautiful, life and all. Love the pure attraction of insatiable lust, and I love the deep communion of our delicate trust. I love the mad destruction before resurrection's grace, and the equalizing destiny we all must someday face. Every moment we recall the light to guide our way, and know where time is helping sort the infinite display, and return to play our scenes in the splendid cabaret, and know the fragile beauty of an ordinary day. One can't resist the ecstasy, we all are sure to fall, 'cause it's all so deeply beautiful, life and all. It's all so beautiful, it's all so beautiful, it's all so deeply beautiful, life and all. It's all so beautiful, it's all so beautiful, it's all so deeply beautiful, life and all. It's all so deeply beautiful, life and all. Michelle held everybody.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, John, as well, earlier for performing. Thank you, Joe, for being here. Does anybody have any questions that I can repeat on the microphone so it's part of the actual podcast? I can't see you, so just shout.
Shout.
Now I can see you because I
And
did this.
they're silent.
They're all silent.
Silent.
What's a La Fonda?
Does anybody see Napoleon Dynamite?
Not in a while, but yes.
It's officially my daughter's favorite movie.
Oh.
I just played it for her. No, actually, though, that wasn't, I'm sure that's where he got it, but the original incarnation of the La Fondas, I had Drew Howard playing pedal steel. And he often played with Stella, and so I told him, I said, if you're going to play with Stella, we need to dress you up in a wig and put a skirt on you, and what's your name? And he looks at me and he goes, La Fonda. So...
no, it's Captain Midnight.
Well, there's two bands now, Captain Midnight and the La Fondas. It's like he's named two different bands in town. So it was really from Drew Howard.
There you go. All right. Nobody has any questions? Question.
Yes.
How would you feel about your daughter getting into music?
How would you feel about your daughter getting into music is the question.
Well, she does play violin. She plays. She's much more into art. Whatever she would want to do, I'd be totally behind her. I mean, it's a hard life. I mean, you don't make any money. I mean, you know what I mean. It's being an artist is tough, but I think she's going to be a visual artist anyway, because that's her thing. So I'd have no problem. We kept pushing it on her, and.
You have two careers. She can have two careers, right?
She can do whatever she wants, yes.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for doing this for WHFR, a benefit concert for the radio station in Dearborn, WHFR.FM if you want to find out more information about that. What is your website?
It is joserrapere.com. I'll spell that because, it's Italian.
It'll be on the video. But
oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, but
it's,
you can.
It's JOSERRAPERE.com.
There you go. Did you enjoy that? I'm really, really grateful to you for doing this, and I hope that I get to do more of these. I don't know if I get to do more of these because it'll rely on a sponsor, but this one I'm sponsoring with my love of WHFR, so that's how we're making this happen. Thank you to everyone who's here for the show in person, and there's more music coming up after about a 15-minute-ish break.
Sure.
Thanks for coming.